dark thing you're trying to hide. Every story, every scar, you love the way you are. There's nothing you need to prove, 'cause heaven knows your name. There's a reason you were made. Fearfully and wonderfully, you. Fearfully and wonderfully, Don't give up, don't give up. He's not giving up on you, not giving up on you.
Good morning, Fort Point. How's everybody doing this morning? Yeah, welcome. It's so good to see everyone here this morning. Make your way in. We like to start off our mornings as people are making their way in, having a little fun. So if you have a cell phone, you can pull out your cell phone. We do a lot of things through cell phones. If you pull out your phone this morning, then you will see the opportunity up on the screen there. You could go to ccg.buzz and participate in a little trivia this morning. We're going to have a little trivia. So I'll give you a minute or so to go ahead and get to ccg.buzz. If you're making your way in the foyer, pull out your phones as you're walking in. Go to ccg.buzz. And let's see who's going to be our reigning trivia champion this morning. What up, Henderson crew? I see you. Yeah. All right. ccg.buzz, put in your name. Hi, Miss Addie. Hi. ccg.buzz, get your name in there. And we'll see what happens here. We'll give you another minute. ccg.buzz, and then you're going to put in that code 3QCT. That's 3 Queen Charlie Tango. All right, you guys are going to have a slight advantage. You're going to be here before all the people outside, so you're going to have access to some of the points ahead of time, unless you're not smart. Then it's not going to help you at all. There's nothing I can do for you there. All right, let's go ahead and see. Question number 1 here. We got some law-themed ones this morning. Yes, some funny, strange laws. Let's see here. In South Carolina, you can't play blank if you're a minor. What could it be? You can't play Dance Dance Revolution, bingo, golf, or pinball. Which is it in South Carolina? Those people in South Carolina, how do you think they... All right, in South Carolina, let's see what you thought. You guys thought it was bingo. No bingo for you if you are a minor. It's actually pinball. No pinball. That is a law in South Carolina. You cannot play pinball if you're a minor. Now, for most of these, you're going to wonder if they actually enforce these. I don't know, but there are laws on the books. They know me as the, is that Augustine? It's only, I should have known. All right, next one. It's illegal to drive with an blank bear in Missouri. A circus bear, an angry bear, an uncaged bear, or a teddy bear? What's up in Missouri? Those Missourians, how do you think they're living over there? You guys think that it's illegal to drive with a uncaged bear, and I believe you're absolutely right, majority, an uncaged bear. Now, I don't know why you would have a caged or uncaged bear to the point where they need to make a law for that in Missouri, but hey, politicians got to have a job, right? You got to pay them to do something. When passing through Gainesville, Georgia, you better not eat blank with a fork and knife. What do you think them peeps in Gainesville, Georgia, are fried chicken, cereal, pizza, or tacos? What do you think? What do you think they're all about there in Gainesville, Georgia? Let's see here. It's the law. What do you think? You cannot eat, you guys think fried chicken. Well, you guys are absolutely right. Fried chicken there for the W. Oh, all of a sudden, they know me as has dropped to third. Bree, all right, Bree, you're in first place. Everyone's gunning for you. In Washington, it's illegal to hunt blank as they're listed as an endangered species. You gotta remember, this is Washington, okay? They're a little over there. So, mermaids, Bigfoot, Thunderbirds, or how do you say that? Chupacabra. All right, what do you think? You guys think Thunderbirds? Let's see, what's the real answer? Bigfoot. Do you believe it? Bigfoot is listed as an endangered species there in... Adam, is that you? Oh my goodness. We're gonna have to start making a rule where Adam can't play. Somebody tie Adam's hands behind his back. He has to push the button with his nose. All right. Don't even think about washing your neighbor's blank without permission in LA. Your neighbor's laundry, dog, car, or house. What do you think? What is illegal to wash in LA? All right, let's see what you think. Survey says car, and you are absolutely right. The car, yes, you cannot wash your neighbor's car without permission in LA. I guess they're pretty uptight over there about their cars, probably because their cars are worth more than their houses, maybe. I don't know. Okay, so you guys got to. Oh, Adam, you got a commanding lead there. In Alabama, what is illegal to wear in church? Is it a short dress? Is it a pointed hat? Is it a fake mustache or red gloves? What do you think you can't wear to church in Alabama? Let's see here. Survey says a short dress. Man, you guys think they're a little prude over there in Alabama. All right, let's see. Fake mustache, actually. You cannot wear a fake mustache. Can you believe that? Fake mustache. Who would have thought? I've never been tempted once to wear a fake mustache at church, so I don't know where that came up with. All right, in Illinois, what is illegal to give to a dog? Is it a birthday present, a pet rat, hot pepper, or a lit cigar? What could it be? I also want to say welcome to everyone if you're streaming online there and playing along with us. All right, what do you guys think? Survey says a hot pepper. It's illegal to give a hot pepper to a dog. That sounds kind of fun. No, it's a lit cigar. Augustine back in first. Uh-oh. Somebody must have took my advice seriously about Adam tying his hands behind his back. All right. In California, back to California. They're kind of weirdos over there. What you cannot do when looking for a lost canary before 7 a.m. Smoke, run, ask for help, or whistle. What can't you do? What do you think? Looking for your lost pet. How do you find it? Well, it's before 7 a.m. You cannot do it this way. You said whistle, and the answer is yes, whistle. You cannot whistle to find your pet, believe it or not. Okay, they know me as the still in first place. What actions are prohibited while wearing a swimsuit in public in Florida? What do you think? Is it drinking beer, selling flowers, holding hands, or singing? What are you legally not supposed to do in Florida while wearing a bathing suit? Which is interesting because bathing suit is like all year round attire over there and down there in Florida. You say holding hands, scandalous. No, singing. You can't sing when you are wearing a bathing suit. Again, I don't know if that's enforced, but that's what you're not allowed to do. All right, in Vermont, what is illegal for women to wear without their husband's approval? Which is it? Can they not wear a short red dress, fake teeth, jewelry, or a blonde wig? What is illegal in Vermont? Home of Ben and Jerry's, right? It's from Vermont? All right, you guys think blonde wig? Believe it or not, none of you guessed it. It's fake teeth. You cannot have fake teeth without, I don't know who made this, but they misspelled without. Fake teeth. Oh, all right, we have a short. That was it. That was the last one. That's it. Congratulations, they know me as. You are the winner. Well done, well done, well done. We're going to have to work on our...
Sorry, I thought there was one more. I thought the last one was about Virginia. I apologize. That was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who knew you can't do so many weird things?
It's like pulling the tag off of mattresses. It's against the law.
I don't think I'd ever ask my husband if I could wear fake teeth or not. I don't know. I don't know if I would want him to know.
That may get tricky as we get older.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's weird. Good morning, everyone. How are you? Come on. How are we? That's what I like to hear. Good morning. My name is Sonia, and I am joined by E. We are both part of the Welcome team. He's part of men's ministry. You know me as the leader over at Love Handles, and we just want to welcome you in this morning. Here at Ford Point, we are a community of faith, hope, and love, helping people find their, because we believe you were created on, for a, and we want to be part of that story any way we can.
Absolutely. And if you're new here to Ford Point, we want to give you a special welcome and thank you for joining us this morning. We're so glad that you're here. If you notice right behind me, there's a QR code. Feel free to scan that. Have a little link and it'll give you some information to fill out. But if you haven't done so already, if you're new, if you haven't gotten a free gift, we do have a welcome packet for you. Just this is as a gratitude and thank you for coming and joining us this morning. If you haven't gotten it, you can get it at the Welcome Center. That's right outside these doors. There's a wonderful person or people that sit in there. They'll be more than glad to answer questions, give you the package, and greet you and meet you. So over the course of the next 75 minutes, we want you to feel comfortable to participate with any which way. You can sit, you can stand, you can enjoy some coffee, some treats that we have out there, some popcorn, some water. Just feel free to enjoy us. We're so glad that you're here this morning.
Absolutely. While you have your phones out, we do encourage you to get connected with us through all forms of social media, Facebook, Instagram, X, all of the things. It will help you, encourage you, invite somebody else, share about us so that the community knows what we're up to here. So we do encourage that. We also would like you to download the Church Center app today. That will give you our calendar of events, life groups, which are coming up around the corner. So familiarize yourself with our Church Center app. You won't be disappointed.
Absolutely. Speaking of events, we've been having a thing going on in Eastwood called Party in the Wood. Yeah.
Woo! Yeah, it's been fun.
It's been really fun. So it's sad to say that we only got 2 left.
I know.
We have 2 left. So if you haven't come out, please come out this Thursday. It was 6 to 8. Next Thursday will be the last one. But there's live music, there's food, there's people. I mean, you can go in and get some yogurt after you're done eating the hot dog.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot to go on and do. It's a good vibe. So if you haven't gone out, I encourage you. And if you want to help, you can text party to 315-883-2213.
Or just show up and we'll put you to work.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We're not opposed to that. But yeah, definitely come out for that.
Yes. Who's been to the food trucks? Woo! It's been very good. We are so excited. We're getting great feedback. They're even extending into September. People want to come back. They want to join us. So on Fridays, again, between 4 and 8, weather permitting, food truck permitting. We will still have them in the parking lot. Still a great time. Invite somebody over for dinner. Bring them in to the community.
This one is Salt City Smokehouse.
Yes, if you missed them the first time, you can catch them again this time. Their mac and cheese, again, I'm the mac and cheese connoisseur, is fantastic. Their pulled pork is wonderful as well. So we encourage you to join them.
Absolutely. And if you're a kid, it's time.
Time, yes, kiddos.
There's a
Kaylee's
kid
up
min-
front, and we're going to continue with our gathering. Thank you.
All right. You guys have seen that plenty of times. We're going to move on here. We are continuing on with our series on the Sermon on the Mount. My name's Jimmy. I'm one of the pastors here. We're grateful that you could join us here this morning. We're in a portion of the Sermon on the Mount where Jesus has kind of been bringing out the true source of where some of the things we deal with comes from. This internal mind, brain, heart area where all these things work together to form some of our thoughts that lead to our actions. And he talks about, it's not just murdering somebody that's bad. It's actually having anger in this internal place towards them. It's not just committing the act of adultery physically, but it's actually in your mind, body, soul, spirit place, where if you have lust, then it's like you've committed adultery. And we've been bringing out how, our minds are very powerful things. This internal place, the way our brain works, that it can lead us to do and act in certain ways. And I've been showing you through different brain tests every week. So I have a new one for you this week. This picture here, what do you see? See some pizza, maybe you see some soldiers eating the pizza, some female soldiers there. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at the picture and start to squint your eyes. Squint your eyes at the picture, and what do you see? Shrek. You see Shrek there. If you squint your eyes, some of you are thinking, how in the world did Shrek get into a Sunday morning gathering? Do you see it? You squint your eyes. It's the way I was trying to do some research on what happens in our brains that cause this to happen, but it was so deep and intellectual I couldn't figure it out. All you need to know is that when you start to squint and your eyes get blurry, your brain starts to kind of take these images in a different way, and you can see things that you don't see at first, right? In this case, Shrek. I'm sorry you had to see Shrek here this morning. I'm going to try to redeem myself here. What do you see here? You do not see Shrek. Yeah, you see, if you squint your eyes there, you start to see Jesus, right? It's, again, this is, based on what we think Jesus is. It's not like this is, straight out of the King James Version there, a picture of Jesus. But this is one of those kind of, commonly thought views of maybe what Jesus looked like. And it's just interesting how our brain can cause us to see things that aren't really there or are there kind of subversively. And that is the power within what's going on inside of us, how all these things work together. So when Jesus talks about the heart or the mind or the spirit, right, there's these things inside of us that all work together, that process information differently, that cause us to then believe things about the world and then act out on those things. And sometimes it can be based on faulty information that our brain is just computing as a result of what they call fast thinking. So we're going to continue on this morning, and as I think about continue on, it's hard to imagine that we started this, almost a couple months ago, this series, and I didn't really think about how long it was going to take us to go through the Sermon on the Mount, but we are just 2 weeks, today and next week, and then we'll be through just the first chapter. There's 3 chapters in the Sermon on the Mount, so we are just narrowing down as summer narrows down. my thought originally was that this was just going to be our summer series, and now it's kind of taking over and going to be our indefinite series for a little bit as we finish through the Sermon on the Mount. But here we are in the summer. It's coming to an end, and I don't know about you, but I cannot wait for summer to end. I think I talked about this last week, and there's just something about being taxi that you're taking your kids all over the place. Now, if you don't have kids, or maybe you just have one kid, it may not be as bad for you, but we have 5 kids. And it seems like they have to be at all sorts of different places, usually at the same time, and usually in places on opposite sides of the city, right? And when you're traveling in the summertime in Syracuse, I don't know how it is in other cities because I don't live there, but here in Syracuse, the minute the weather, the sun comes out and there's not snow or rain on the ground, all sorts of these evil guys with hard hats and reflective vests come out. And it seems no matter what direction I go in, I'm running into traffic, right? In the morning, they got like 690 East closed down, and then in the evening, the 690 West is closed down. 81 North and South in the city is a mess. It goes down to 1 lane, and it's just like, I'm so grateful that for the most part, if I was just living by myself, I would be perfectly fine living in my living room and never coming out and seeing anybody, right? And it wouldn't affect me. But of course, I had to get married, I had to have kids, and now they have all these needs. And it's just like, come on, why can't you be more like your father and not want to go anywhere? But we have to deal with now all of this traffic in every single direction. And the worst part is when my GPS says, warning, lane closure up ahead, and it's like, you're still on the fastest route, right? And I'm thinking to myself, that means that I cannot get off anywhere and prevent the ensuing madness that's about to take place as we go bumper to bumper for however long it takes to get through this stretch of traffic, right? It's frustrating, it's annoying, but one of the things that bugged me the most, even about all the traffic, is when they go down to 1 lane, you're sitting there, and what happens is at some point there's another on-ramp where a car has to get in, and what do? They go as far as they can, even past like the merger lane, so that they can try to skip as much of the traffic to get in. You ever experienced that? Right, you're trying to be a good, upstanding citizen, right? You're trying to be a nice fellow human being, so as soon as you get in there, you try to get in line with the rest of the traffic, but then there's those cars that just like to zoom along the side, and they're even going on the shoulder because they just want to get ahead as much as possible. Well, I was in traffic here on 690, and man, I just felt like it was angels came down. There was this construction truck that was in front of me, and what it did was it just sat itself right in the middle. It did not allow any cars to pass along the merger lane or the shoulder, and I thought to myself, man, not all heroes wear capes. This guy, he deserves a raise. He deserves like the Bronze Medal of Honor or whatever we have going on these days. So yesterday, I thought to myself, I want to be that guy. So I'm in my van and just getting on Teal here to 690 where it starts to go back to back. And wouldn't you know, I just plopped myself right there in the shoulder so nobody could pass around me. And I just thought to myself, I bet you every single car in this line is just singing my praises. They could not, I wish I had a sign that says, hey, come to Forward Point on Sunday morning, because I bet you they would all come because of the heroic action that one of your pastors took there to save them some time there in traffic, right? Well, this is kind of a part of the idea, because what happens when that person passes you in that merger lane? There's probably something that stirs within you. There's probably some tingling sensations you begin to feel. You might feel the temperature of your body rise from 98 point whatever degrees to like 103 degrees, 108 degrees, right? You're starting to feel some anger. You're starting to feel some frustration. You're starting to feel like, man, if I could just have a one-on-one talk with this person, then only one of us is probably walking away from it, right? Like we have become more and more caught up with this road rage mentality. There's something happens inside of us that we begin to judge other people's actions while, based on what they do, and base ourselves on our intentions. You know the difference. You saw what they did and you judge them and you say all sorts of mean things out loud, usually is how I do it. My kids are like, who are you talking to, right? We say them out loud like they're going to hear us. Or maybe we try to tell them that they're number one in our eyes, right? And maybe you've experienced that, either coming or going. But we judge based on the actions versus when we do something, either we're late or maybe we accidentally find ourselves going up along the merger lane to get in and we passed all sorts of people. We think, oh, I missed it, or we judge ourselves based on our intentions. Right? There's something that happens inside of us when we feel that we're wronged, when we feel that someone is doing something against us, and we want to respond. Usually not in kind. Usually we want to respond in kind of a next level fashion. We're going to respond in some way that takes this whole series to a whole another level. We were in the car just this week, and it was me, and it was some of the girls, and Ishi was in the back, and we were meeting for Food Truck Friday at Love Handles. And as we're getting there, my wife is texting me, and when you use Siri in the car to say it, she kind of says it robotically, and it came across as, what time are you going to be here? Because I'm waiting in line. And I said, oh, we'll be there in a couple minutes. And then we got another text, and I tap on it for it to play, and it says, I let the person behind me cut me, so it's a long line, you better get here, right? Ishmael says in the back, he says, somebody cut my mommy, right? And he says this in this very innocent, but I want to throw down some law with whoever would dare to cut my mommy, right? And I said, yeah, somebody cut your mommy. What are you going to do about it? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, as an attempt to bring some levity to the situation and let him know it really wasn't a serious deal, I said, are we going to tickle him? And he says, yes, let's tickle him, right? Because, it wasn't really the kind of cut in line that he was thinking of. But when he thought it was something dangerous or violent happening to his mom, he was ready with this concerned feeling and expectation that he was going to take things to the next level based on the actions. Because, again, we've said it many times, we judge others by the actions and we judge ourselves by the intentions. I was in my car and I was traveling down James Street towards Sacred Melody, and there was a car that was stopped. And for the life of me, I could not figure out why this car was stopped. They didn't have their turning signal on, but I couldn't see any car in front of them. So in my mind, I just start going through all sorts of scenarios where I'm like, oh my goodness, why didn't you put your turning signal on? The world would be a much better place if you would just put your turning signal on so I know what you were doing, so this way I could just go around you. So I finally got frustrated, and I just decided to go around. But at the same time as I'm going around this car, what I realized is I hadn't seen there were actually two cars in front of this car that was right in front of me. And the car that was in the front was turning, did have their turning signal on, but I had gotten so frustrated that I just kind of took matters into my own hands. And as I'm doing it and realizing what's happening, I'm like, oh shoot, my bad, right? I'm sorry. A little grace and forgiveness, please, right? My intentions. But as I pull into the car that's now in front, in my rearview mirror, I see them give me the "you're the number one fan in my life" gesture, right? And I thought to myself, this is where I don't want a Forward Point sign on my car, because they probably won't want to come with us and be a part of our faith community, right? Because that's, again, we judge based on the actions, and a lot of times there's room for misinterpretation. We don't really know the whole story, or we can't really see things that maybe other people can see from their perspective. But as a result, we get all flustered, we get all angry, our temperatures rise, our anger starts boiling because we are judging based on their actions. Yet we're all kind enough to judge ourselves based on our intentions. We know that we're good people. We know what we were trying to do. We know what we wanted to happen. It was just a simple mistake. If they only knew that I was sorry, then they wouldn't be mad at me. But what this leads to, what happens as we're going to dive in and look at today, is that justified responses do not lead to changed hearts. When you respond in a way that you feel you're justified for, or when you respond in a way that maybe culture would say you are totally justified in feeling, right? That may make it feel okay for you to do what you're about to do. Right? Culturally, it may be kind of acceptable, like that's exactly what I would do if I was in that situation. But just because that response may be justified in your own eyes, or may be justified with the right group of people around you, or justified based on how we live in our culture does not lead to changed hearts. And when Jesus was here, and what Jesus is teaching us about the Father's heart, and what he's teaching us about the kingdom of heaven, not just some abstract place that hopefully we get to at some place, but that this place that we can actually bring here to earth, he's saying, you may feel like you're justified in your actions, but your justifiable actions do not lead to changed hearts. And he's going to give us another example of how what's going on inside of us affects how we respond when things happen. And the justifiable response probably is not usually the right one, and definitely is not one that's going to lead to changed hearts. So if you have your Bibles or the YouVersion app, I would encourage you to open in Matthew chapter 5, verse 38, and he starts off this way. He says, "You have heard that it was said." We've heard that before over the past few weeks. He says, "Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth." Now, this is probably an expression that we all are familiar with. We kind of understand what it means, that this idea that if something happens to you, then you do the same exact thing back. This kind of equality in the action and the response. Now, when you compare this eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth to our current, political and judicial system, it kind of seems a little extreme. It seems extreme that, nowadays it kind of seems like people just get away with whatever they want to. I don't like to get too political, but all I can tell you is based on my own experience. Over the course of the last few years since we've lived here in Eastwood, we have been through situation after situation where it just seems like it's this revolving door of people being allowed to do whatever they want to do because there's no consequences. If you've been a part of Forward Point for any length of time, you've heard me share about these different experiences. We had our car stolen out of our driveway because we had a Kia, and it became real easy to steal Kias. And then the car was gone for about a month, being fixed and being repaired and being updated. And then when we got it back, I kid you not, a week later, they tried to steal our car again because it just was a Kia that was super accessible and easy to get to. Only this time, I had now a camera that was shining on my car, so it alerted to me when there was motion. So I get the alert on my phone that there's something going on in my driveway. And I opened up my app, and I see somebody hutching over my car, and they break the window, and I just went into, I'm going to get them mode, right? Like, they are not going to get me again. I don't want to give you too much information, but why not? I usually sleep just in my boxers, okay? Hate to put that visual image in your mind. I won't tell you what kind of boxers, because that might be too much information, but I go to sleep, so I just get out of bed just like that. I just get shoes on, and I jump in the van and nothing but my boxers, and I'm going after these cars. So I come down Sunnycrest, and I see where they turn, and they turn down Stafford, and they're down at the bottom of Stafford, and they have no idea that I am the house that they just broke the window of my car to. And I'm watching, and I get on the phone, and I'm calling 911 on my phone. And it was one of the most frustrating experiences to call the police, and the police were like, "We need an address to send the police to." And I'm like, "I can't give you an address. I'm following them," right? They turn on to Burnett, and I am, distance behind them, and turn on the Burnett behind them. And again, the police are telling me, "Oh, we don't follow them. We don't want you to get," and I'm like, I want these guys caught. I want the full, strength of the justice system to fall down on these guys, and I want my pound of flesh, right? And they get on to 690, and I'm following behind 690, and I'm arguing with the 911 dispatcher because they don't want to help me catch these guys. And I'm thinking, if this is the Wild Wild West, right? My posse, I'd probably be wearing long johns instead of boxers, but we'd be on the horse and these guys would be strung up by now. Right, so we're on 690 and they're kind of on to me that I'm following them now at this point. So they get back off at the Teal exit. And they're on the Teal exit getting off, and they decide to go from there right back onto 690. And I kid you not, the car that pulled right in front of them was a Syracuse police officer car. And I'm on the phone with dispatch, and I'm like, "There's a Syracuse police officer that just turned right in front of them. Just tell the car to turn on their lights and pull them over." And their systems or whatever, they couldn't do that. They couldn't talk to this one police officer, and I just became so frustrated. I wound up just letting him leave because it was obvious that there was no way that I was going to get any justice that night. I made the trip back home, and eventually about 10, 15 minutes later, a Syracuse police cruiser with a couple officers come to my house, and at this point, it's like, what's the deal? What's the point? There's nothing you can do anymore. And that literally was kind of the sentiment that they offered back. They said, there's not really much that we can do anyways, even if we were to catch them. There's a good chance you've seen different stories in our local news, because sometimes these Kia boys, they would call them, it would lead to high-speed chases, and it kind of became this thing where it's like, you just let them go because it's not worth the damage, it's not worth the risk of life to pursue them, because even if they were to catch them, then they would just be allowed to leave. They just would be this revolving door, this cash bail system that we have here in New York. Love Handles has been broken into, 3-ish times since it's opened over 3 years ago. And each time the officers come and they try to get fingerprints and they ask questions, and they said, but in the end, just to give you kind of proper expectations, there's probably nothing that we're going to be able to do, because even if we were to find them, even if we were to catch them, they would just be back on the streets. So when you compare this idea of eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth to our current legal system, it kind of seems a little extreme. We're not used to that kind of justice. And maybe inside, you may be one to think that, man, we need more of that back in our society. Or maybe you're here and you think, you like this idea of restorative justice and hoping that giving people second chances will help them turn their life around. But here's what I know about justice from specifically just in American cultures. This is Lady Justice, right? And one of the things that you notice about Lady Justice is that she's blind. And if you went to school, you probably learned part of the reason why she's blind is because she's not supposed to be able to see and become biased about the individuals involved in whatever happened. Whether it be skin color, whether it be age, whatever the case could potentially be, justice is supposed to be blind and not care about any of the external factors. And in her unbiased mission to restore justice, she also has the scale, and the scale represents a balance. It represents that the punishment should match up and should be even with the crime. Right? It shouldn't be the wild, wild west where we just take people out and, if they stole something, then we're shooting them dead. Or maybe in some places in the Middle East, they steal something and they're chopping people's wrists off, right? Granted, they have a really low theft rate over there in the Middle East. But Lady Justice holds this balance, and the balance is supposed to be just that, in balance, that the punishment is supposed to be in line with the crime, no more, no less. This was the vision for justice in our culture, but even more so in the culture of the Jewish people, right? Because again, he says, you have heard that it was said. This is a statement that came from the book of Exodus. In Exodus, there is this description of God laying out all these ways to govern and to rule, not to the people of Israel in general, but specifically to the rulers of the Jews, the judges and the people that were in leadership. And it's an interesting chapter to read through because it's basically all sorts of different role-playing scenarios that God gives them and says, when this happens, this should be the penalty. And when this happens, this should be the penalty. And when this happens, this should be the penalty. And what you see is this very straightforward, balanced, the punishment matches the crime idea. And in fact, this is an idea that comes from the Old Testament in the book of Exodus, but also, if you're familiar with history, it also comes from the Hammurabi Code. Is another place where you see this phrase, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And in this chapter, in Exodus chapter 21, as he's going through all these scenarios, this one scenario comes up where God says, let's say that two men are fighting. And in their quarreling and they're beating each other up, they hit a pregnant woman, and the pregnant woman goes into labor as a result of that trauma. A couple things could possibly happen. He says if the baby is born and there's no issues, there's no side effects, then the guys are off the hook, there's nothing to worry about. But if something happens to the baby where either the baby dies, then their lives should also be taken. Or if there's any other kind of damage to the child, then that should happen to these men. And this is where that phrase first comes and where we hear it. He says, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, foot for a foot, shoulder for a shoulder. Again, this idea that the punishment should be equal to, should weigh, should balance out with the crime. So when we hear Jesus say these words, it'd be easy for us, based on kind of how he's said things up to this point, to think that Jesus is going to kind of turn this idea upside down. That he's going to kind of take us to a place where it's not about eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. But there's two things to remember that are very important. The first thing is that in Exodus chapter 21, it was God speaking to the judges, the rulers, the people who were going to administer justice. And what had happened here in Matthew chapter 5 and in the Jewish culture was that the religious leaders were using that idea of eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth not to administer justice when crimes were happening, but it had now become kind of the social way for them to live and act towards their fellow human beings. They were justifying a lot of their actions, the way that they treated people, not based on a civil idea, but based on a social idea. And as we've read over the past few weeks, that the common Jewish person didn't know what the Bible said for themselves. They just were reliant upon what the religious leaders told them that the Bible said. And what they began to do is they began to tell the people that this civil way of living, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, the punishment has to match the crime, was actually how they're supposed to live socially. So when something happens to you that is outside of civil law, how you should respond, how you should act is eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. And that's the background here. So it's not Jesus saying that no longer is it eye for an eye or tooth for a tooth, but he's saying the way that you've been hearing it, the way that it's been taught to you, is not how you're supposed to interact with each other. In fact, this is how he begins to flip it upside down, how they act to each other. He says, but I tell you, do not resist an evil person. Definitely resist evil purchases. And this verse, when taken out of context, has been used a lot of times to exhibit control over people in abusive situations. This has been a verse that's been used in a lot of places that tell women that they have to stay in their abusive relationships. It's been used in some cults. I was watching one show where it was involving the Amish community. And in the Amish community, it's very important. Their beards are a sign of honor for them. So an older gentleman has a really long beard. And there was this one cult leader who was kind of just doing things based on what he was telling people God told him to do. And one of the ways that he would kind of keep everyone under his thumb is he would send a group of goons to go to the house of the person who was kind of stepping out of line, and he would cut their beards. And this was one of the justifications where the people would choose not to report him to the authorities or to turn him in, because they felt that they were called to just forgive and allow the abuse to happen. But remember, these are two separate things. There's a civil way that things play out where the punishment matches the crime, but there's a social way that we are called to live. And when Jesus is saying, do not resist an evil person, it could probably better be translated as, do not respond in kind. So when you have an evil person, when you have somebody who comes to you and responds in a certain way, they punch you or they kick you or they insult you, Jesus is setting the base here, and he's saying, do not respond in the same way that they are coming after you. It's not that you should just allow this to happen. It's not that this should just be allowed to continue. But you are not, as followers of me, supposed to respond in the same way that they're coming after you. You 100%, Forward Point, you 100% have the right to defend yourself. But what Jesus is saying is how you respond is important, because remember, you may be justified. You may be justified in your mind. You may be justified based on what your friends and family think. But justifiable responses do not lead to changed hearts. And what he's going to do is give us a little slice of the kingdom of heaven here. When it comes down here on earth and we respond in this new way, there is then a chance for changed hearts. And that's his goal. So he says in this first example, he says, if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, then turn to them the other cheek as well. Now, is this Jesus condoning violence and that we should just be, allowed to take it? Is this Jesus condoning spanking? And, this is the way they said good job to each other back then? It's important to realize what Jesus is doing is he's tapping into their culture. And in their culture, giving somebody a backhand was a very insulting gesture. And if you line up with you and another person, what you begin to realize here is that as Jesus is explaining this, for someone to slap somebody else on the right cheek with their dominant hand, and in that culture, and still to our culture today, they would have been referencing right-handed people, because that is the dominant side for humanity. To be able to slap the person across from you with the right cheek would mean that you would have to give them a backhand. You could not do that with a normal slap, otherwise you'd be all going like this, right? And nobody does that. So he's referencing when somebody tries to insult you, because that's what a backhanded slap is. When someone is trying to insult you in that way, and they actually do it, what he's saying is open up your left cheek to them, because in order for them to slap your left cheek, then it's going to have to be full-handed right on, which would be considered an attack. And at that moment, where they're feeling maybe the rage, or they're feeling the frustration of whatever problem they have with you, they have to come to grips with their own humanity. They come face to face with whatever it is that is inside of them that makes them feel that they deserve to now go from just an insult to this physical attack towards you. If they did attack you, there would be repercussions. But what Jesus is saying is that in that moment, there is the chance that they might come face to face, not with you, but almost with an internal version of themselves that's going to cause them to stop and say, what have I become? Or what has brought me to this place where I would be willing to attack this other person created in the image of God? Jesus is saying there's a chance that may happen. There's not a chance if that happens, if they backhand you and insult you, or you backhand them back, where they're going to recognize the error of their ways. That's only going to escalate things. When we socially act out in an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth mentality, what happens is the whole world becomes blind, right? If everyone's going after everyone else's eye as a result of what has been done to them, then the whole world goes blind. That's not how we're called to act socially. Jesus and God, they believe that as far as civilly, as far as breaking the law. But socially, when we interact with each other, the punishment does not match the crime. And you and I, we have a chance, based on how we respond, to turn that heart towards God. But it comes at our expense. It comes by us laying down what justifiably we should be able to do. It very well could come with the response of a full-handed slap across the face, some kind of physical attack. It could come in all sorts of ways. But it's the only way where there might be an opportunity for them to come face to face with what is going on inside of them and allow Jesus into that moment. We're not called to be punching bags. We can defend ourselves. But what he's saying is what naturally would happen inside of you, you get insulted. Your blood starts boiling. Your temperature inside rises. You can feel the redness coming over your body. And you want to either match or escalate your response. And you probably, with all the people you talk to, would be justified in doing it. But he says that's not the kingdom of heaven. That's not what it looks like as a Jesus follower. And in fact, we can redeem those moments. There is a chance, there's a possibility that in choosing redemption, we might win a brother. And he doubles down on it. He goes deeper. He says, and if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. Again, for us in our culture, this doesn't translate really well. It doesn't seem that big of a deal. But in that culture, clothes were a very expensive luxury to have. You may have had one or two shirts, maybe three, but you definitely only had one coat. And that coat was considered kind of a sign of honor. In fact, to the point where you could use it as leverage. If you said, I'll pay you back, here's my coat as collateral. In the Old Testament, God talks about if someone gives you their coat as collateral, at the end of the night, you need to return the coat back to them. Because the coat was a place where they would find, use as a pillow. They could use it to keep themselves warm at night. There was a great significance to one's coat in this culture. You and I, we probably have all sorts of coats. We got rain jackets, we got winter coats, we got summer coats. We got coats for every day of the week. But to them in this culture, this was a very sacred thing, one's coat. So Jesus is painting the picture that someone is coming after you and they're suing you for your shirt. You're one of two, you're one of three shirts. And if for whatever reason they win the case and they're able to get your shirt, Jesus says, respond by giving them your coat as well. Because picture this. You're a young man in Jewish culture. You have your shirt, which is kind of like your inner, undergarment, and you have your coat underneath it. If you give your shirt to this person as a result of the judgment, you could still cover yourself up with the coat. It'd kind of be an awkward walk home to get another shirt, but you could cover yourself up with the coat. If in that moment, instead of choosing to respond in kind, instead of choosing to just run away and sulk and complain, if in that moment you choose to take off your coat, hand it over to the person, what happens is you stand there basically in your boxers, and this other person is holding all of your clothes. And in that moment, what happens is an opportunity where that person has to come face to face with what their actions have led to. Their actions have led to this place where another human being created in the image of God, which was very important to them as Jewish people, is shamed and naked in front of everybody to see. And everybody then would look at the situation and see you as the person holding on to all the clothes and this person naked. And all of a sudden you would become the villain. All of a sudden this person would have to come face to face with themselves and say, what would happen inside of me that would bring me to this place where I think that it's okay to treat another human being this way? To demand, to require, to such a state that I'd make another human being have to be subject to this kind of humiliation. And Jesus says, in that moment, there's an opportunity there's the potential, there's the possibility that that person could come face to face with who they've become, and you might win a brother. But that doesn't happen if you choose to run and hide. That doesn't happen if you choose to offer up a return case and go after their donkey or their car or their house. Right? If you think you act in justifiably an equal or higher way, then the world goes blind. But when at your expense, you allow yourself to be a tool of redemption, there is a chance, there is a possibility that that acts as the light bulb moment where this enemy sees something inside of themselves that is ugly, that is hurtful, that is from the enemy, and you might win over a brother. And again, Jesus doubles down again. He says, if anyone forces you to go 1 mile, then to go with them 2 miles. We understand in our culture the expression go the extra mile, right? This idea that you're going above and beyond, that you're doing something with great enthusiasm. And you know, this is kind of what's expected, but they did so much more than what would normally be expected. Because in that culture, they were ruled by Rome. And there was kind of this common law rule that if a Roman soldier came up to you and said, hey, I need you to carry my bags with me, for me, on this journey, that you had to do what that Roman soldier was asking you to do. It didn't matter what you were doing. It didn't matter where you were. It didn't matter if you were late for court. It didn't matter if you were on your way to get married. Whatever happened, if the soldier asked you to do that, you were obligated to go with that soldier 1 mile and carry their bags, carry their sword, carry the luggage of whatever it is they were doing. And there's nothing more humiliating than for a person who believes the people over them are agents of the enemy, are despicable, Gentiles, for them to be able to exert their will over them in this way. And this was one of the ways that it had to be done and could be done legally. And Jesus says, you have one of 2 ways to respond when this happens. You can mutter, you can swear, you can do it reluctantly, or you can choose to be an agent of heavenly subversion. And when you get to that last step of that 1st mile and you say, hey, you know what? I got you. Let's go another mile. This one's on me. You took the 1st mile. I get it. But I'm going to give you another mile. Sure, I was on my way to my kid's birth. Sure, I was on my way to my kid's kindergarten graduation. You took that 1st mile, but I'm going to give you the 2nd mile. And you know what you can do in that 1st mile and 2nd mile? Your attitude is going to do all sorts of wonders on that person. If you're doing it with a happy heart, if you're talking about their family, if you're inviting them to come with you to Froyo, right? There's all sorts of ways that you can redeem that situation. He says, but if you allow in your heart a justifiably cultural response to be angry, to allow anger in your heart, then it's like you've committed murder, right? There's all sorts of ways that you could respond where all the other Jews would say, you get a freebie, you get a pass, and you'd be okay. But that's not what I'm calling you to. I'm calling you to be an agent of subversiveness in this culture. Heavenly subversiveness. It's going to come at your expense. You're now not just 1 mile, but 2 miles out of the way. But when you do that, there is an opportunity. There is the possibility. There is the potential that when you go above and beyond just what they're allowed to legally take and you give them the extra mile, that you might be able to tap into a moment where they're going to come face to face with the ridiculousness of what they're asking you to do, of what they're allowed to do, what's legally okay for them to do. And they might come to a place to say, you know what, this is not right. Or they might come to a place where they say, I'm sorry. Or they might want to engage and get to know you more. But that's not, you never get even remotely close to that place if you just act out in what is justifiably okay. In your pound of flesh, in your punishment that matches the crime. You never get there. You never get close to there. And probably one of the most famous examples of this is as Jesus is carrying the cross to Golgotha, and he falls and stumbles. The soldiers call out a man named Simon from the crowd and tell him, you have to carry the cross. This is part of that rule, that law. And without hesitation, he does it, and he carries the cross for Jesus. And Jesus is saying, this is what the kingdom of heaven looks like here on earth. This is what happens. And he closes out this little section by saying, and then give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. In our culture, this is a lot different than in their culture. They didn't have people on street corners with signs that you see every single day, every single week. There's some tension that we should feel. It's not just a carte blanche, you need to make sure you're always giving to every single person you see on the side of the road. But there is also some reflection that needs to take place to say how much of our possessions, our wealth, the resources that we have us where we're not able to do this. Where if we have a friend, if we have a neighbor, we're not able to give to those who ask and those are in need. So this morning we're left face to face with this idea of Lady Justice. What happens in those moments? Right? What happens when we had caught the people who had broken into my car or broken our window? Without a doubt, legally, there should be a process civilly where Lady Justice demands that the scales balance out. When they had afflicted their will and their way over me and my family, the scale became lopsided. And civilly, just like in Exodus, without a doubt, something needs to happen where that balance evens out. But that's not my responsibility. It's my responsibility in as much that I vote, and the people who I put into office or who are put into office vote for things where we never get here. But it is the responsibility, God believes, in proper leadership that civilly this is the end result for laws being broken. That's what should have happened. But also what should have happened is that I come alongside this individual and I say, you know what, I forgive you. If there's something going on in your life where I can come alongside and I can help. Maybe they're a father of this young man, and maybe I can come alongside and I can visit them in jail or in prison or a part of whatever process they have to go through to balance out the scale. That's on me. That is my responsibility as an ambassador of the kingdom of heaven here on earth, is to turn what should be a moment where I want to respond in kind, where I want to slap, where I want to sue, where I want to get my pound of flesh. I put that in God's hands and I say, I'm going to, at my expense, say, God, how can I respond in a way where they become face to face with the reality of the actions, their actions, and who they are as a person, and be an agent of redemption in this situation. And Ford Point, that is exactly who God is calling you and me to be here in Syracuse, in Eastwood, or wherever we may be. Is people who say, we're going to take the ownership on ourselves at our expense to look for and to create these moments where people become confronted with the reality of who they are on the inside. To resist the justifiable actions, to respond in kind, or to escalate and elevate how we respond. Not to give up on justice. Justice demands a punishment, but a punishment that is equal to the crime. We're going to leave that in God's hands, and we're going to come alongside, and we're going to choose to respond how he's calling you and I to live socially with each other and with the people who come in contact with. God, we're so grateful that this is exactly how you've chosen to respond to us. That while we were of no use to you, while we were of no good to you whatsoever, while we were over and over choosing to go our own way, you have chosen to walk that path of torture and cross and death so that we could be in relationship with you. So that at some point, and maybe even in a moment like this, we might come face to face with the reality of how our actions are just like the actions of every single abuser that you just described in Matthew chapter 5. And that, God, that this morning it might be an opportunity for us in that moment of realization to not just tuck it under the rug, to not just turn away from it, but embrace the reality of who we are and our need and dependence on you. God, that we would recognize who we are and that we would turn towards your higher ways, your higher purpose for us in this world. Way more than just a career, way more than just achievements. But God, ambassadors of your heavenly kingdom here on earth, willing to count the cost and say, even at my own expense, I'm going to be an agent of redemption in the world today. So would you help us to be that? We love you.
When you walk into the room, everything changes. The darkness starts to tremble at the light that you bring. When you walk into the room, every heart starts burning. Nothing matters more than just to sit here at your feet and worship you. We worship you. We love you. We'll never stop. Can't live without you. Jesus, we love you. We can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus. To the room, sickness starts to vanish. Every hopeless situation ceases to exist. And when you walk into the room, hold the dead begin to rise. 'Cause there's resurrection life in all you do. We love you. We'll never stop, can't live without you. Jesus, we love you. We can't get enough. All this is for you. Jesus, we love you. We'll never stop, can't live without you. Jesus, we love you. We can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus. Jesus, come and consume us. Come and consume us. All we are, give you permission. permission. Our hearts are yours, we want you. Oh, we want you. I should be able to hear you, everyone. Come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission. Our hearts are yours, we want you. Oh, we want you. Come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission. Our hearts are yours, we want you. Oh, we want you. We love you. We love you. And we'll never stop. We can't live without you. Jesus, we love you. We can't get enough. All this is for you. Jesus, we love you. We'll never stop. Can't live without you. Jesus, we love you. We can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus. Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Jesus. All right. You see me with like a little hunch in my back. All right. Before I call, before I ever cry, you answer me from where the thunder hides. I can't outrun this heart I'm tethered to. With every step, I collide with you. Let me hear you like a tidal wave. Like a tidal wave, crashing over me, rushing into me. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce. Your love is fierce. You cannot fail. The only thing I found is through it all. It's through it all. You never let me down. You don't hold back, relentless in pursuit. In every turn, I come face to face with you. Like a tidal wave, crashing over me, rushing into me. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce, like a tidal wave, crashing over me, rushing into me. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce. Your love is fierce. You chase me down. You chase me down, and you seek me out. How could I be lost when you have called me found? You chase me down, you seek me out. could I be lost when you have called me found? You chase me down, you seek me out. How could I be lost when you have called me found? You chase me down and you seek me out. How could I be lost when you have called me found? Like a tidal wave crashing over me, rushing in into here. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce, like a tidal wave. It's crashing over me, it's rushing in to make me hear. Your love is fierce, like a hurricane that I can't escape, tearing through the atmosphere. Your love is fierce. Oh, your love is fierce. Oh, your love is fierce. Oh, your love is fierce. It's amazing when you have some time to yourself, and like, I can relate to what Jimmy was sharing about the busyness of, even though I never had 5 kids, unless you consider myself, I was sort of the 5th kid for my wife, but 4 kids and being pulled in every direction. And it doesn't matter how soon you leave for something or how well you plan, crap happens and your schedule gets just totally messed up. And so I can relate to that. And I can relate to the fact that it just seems like your mind just cannot settle down, because there's always something. If it's not, kids needing to be fed, or house to pick up, it's someone breaking into your car, or it's chasing someone down, or the injustice of when we feel we've had injustice against us. And I don't know. It's just a very different place now, being that kids are grown up. My wife left me a couple days ago on purpose, but not forever. Left me for a bridal shower for my future daughter-in-law in Long Island. And it was just weird. I had a couple days, and typically I would just like make myself super busy, and I don't know, the new place I'm in is just like, God's like, it's okay. You can take a few days and just sit and soak. And so nothing like going to a little falls area and swimming some, and just taking those moments to chill and relax. And yet, it was funny, as you're swimming and you get near the falls, you feel like the pressure. Now again, nothing like Niagara Falls, but you feel the pressure of like the water coming down, and literally just, oh my goodness, if I get too close to this, I might get caught like underneath something. And it made me think of the song. It gave me time to reflect and think about the fact that, my first little bit of alone time away from kids and everyone, I don't want to really die on my first day. And, but yet, it made me think of the presence of God when I was singing the song, and thinking about how even a tidal wave, if you've ever been to the ocean, or you've ever been to a spot where you just literally, you feel the power of the water. And I feel like the writer of the song, there was something to this when they were writing it, that when they experienced the presence of God in their life, it was literally like such a force. And sometimes in the craziness of your schedules, or the craziness of kids, or the craziness of work, or whatever it's got you, maybe you're in school right now, or you're doing something, you just can't relax. You can't rest. You can't get your mind to settle down. And I just think the beauty of God is even when we're in those moments where we can't, let him take over. Let him crash over you. Let him protect you. Let him embrace you. Because I think if we don't let him do it, there's no amount of discipline or motivation. However many times you tell yourself to forgive that ex or let something go, or the injustice of maybe work or family or something in your life, there's no amount of discipline, motivation that can overcome doing things on your own. So let his love this morning just surround you. Take a deep breath in. Remember that he's in control. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. You might know the song. Let's sing it again. My hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and his righteousness. I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly trust in Jesus' name. Christ alone. Christ alone, he's my cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, he is Lord, Lord of all. When darkness seems to hide his face, I rest on his unchanging grace. In every high, every storm and gale, my anchor holds within the veil. My anchor holds within the veil. My cornerstone and weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, he is Lord, Lord of all. Sing it again. Christ alone, oh Christ alone, he's my cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior's love. Through the storm, he is Lord, Lord of all. When he shall come with trumpet sound, oh may I then in him be found, dressed in his righteousness alone, faultless, stand before the throne. Christ alone, he's my cornerstone, weak made strong in the Savior. in the Savior's love. Through the storm, He is Lord, Lord of all. Lord of all. Fortune lies beyond the stars, those dazzling heights too fast to climb. I got so high to feel so far, but I found heaven as love slept low. My heart beating, my soul breathing. I found my life when I laid it down, upward falling, spirit soaring. I touched the sky when my knees hit the ground. What treasure waits within your scars? The gift of freedom gold can't buy. I bought the world and sold my heart. You traded heaven to have me again. My heart beating, my soul breathing. I found my life when I laid it down, upward falling, spirit soaring. Touch the sky when my knees hit the ground. Find me here at your feet again. Everything I am, reaching out, I surrender. Come take me up in your love again, and my soul will dance on the wings of forever. Find me here at your feet again. Everything I am, I'm reaching out, I surrender. Come sweep me up in your love again, and my soul will dance on the wings of forever. My heart beating, my soul breathing. I found my life when I laid it down, upward falling, spirit soaring. I touched the sky when my knees hit the ground. 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 Upward falling, spirit soaring. I touch the sky when my knees hit the ground. When my knees hit the ground. Church, I'm just going to challenge you. If you're like me sometimes, all you want to do is just keep doing more. You want to be more. You want to be better. You want to be a better Jesus follower. You want to be, in the Bible more, pray more. You want to do more. Sometimes God doesn't need you to do more. He needs you to do less. It's not about you doing what you can do in your own strength. It's about Him doing something through you. Sometimes to touch the sky, it's to bend the knees. It's to go less than, not more than. sometimes to say yes to God is to say no to other things. Some things that may appear good, maybe really look good. Maybe you always say yes. Maybe you just like me, always want people please, always want to, never want anyone thinking I'm a slacker. No one ever think I'm not putting my full effort into something. But in the end, he's the only one that matters. And that's why man will always look on the outward appearance. But God looks at the inside of your soul. That's why when he told Martha, he said, Martha, it's cool, you're doing all that stuff, you're really busy and it's great. But I want to capture your heart like Mary. She caught on to it. She realized that to touch the sky, it was just to sit at the Master's feet. So I'm just going to challenge you this week, just in your chaos and in your craziness, let him have a say with you. Let him have a way with you. My heart beating, my soul breathing. I found my life when I laid it down. A bird falling, spirit soaring. I touched the sky when my knees hit the ground.
We just want to thank you again for joining us this morning. Thank you for being part of our family, part of this community. And we hope that you join us this coming week with our special events we have planned. Party in the Wood. We encourage you to invite someone that hasn't been before, or has been before, or just needs some more community in their life. Please join us for the food truck again on Friday nights. We invite you to be there as well.
Yeah, and if what you kind of see with Ford Point as we bridge into our next phase of a new building, a new space for ourselves to allow us to do more bridging into the community. If you want to help support us, there's several ways you can do that. You can do that in person. We have a Joy box that's in the back because joy is giving. You can do it by texting any amount to 84321. You can do it on the Church Center app. You can do it on our website at www.fordpoint.org/give. It's a good place to kind of sow seed into. It does bear good things out in the community. It helps us do certain things like costumes and so many things that we can bridge and do fun activities for the community just to show them that we love them.
Absolutely. I think we have an update on the thermometer, 31%, third of the way there almost, guys. That's exciting.
Oh, yes, it is.
Very exciting. I'm excited about it. I can see church from work right across the street. I know, so exciting. Again, if you haven't already, download that Church Center app today. It'll get you connected, help you stay connected. And if there is something heavy on your heart this morning, something light on your heart, a praise report you want to share, you want prayer, as always, our prayer team is available in the back over in that corner. So don't leave here today. If something is pressing on you, let them help stand in the gap. They are confidential. Even throughout the week, Church Center app has a place for prayer requests as well as our website. So reach out if you need that.
We are looking forward to our next space, but we're here now, and we like to get the palace up and running to where it needs to be for other events that take place. We like to leave it better than when we found it. So if you can, many hands make a light work. We can definitely appreciate the help. You can meet us right outside these doors. Somebody will be happy to tell you what we need.
And again, Your children are available upstairs to pick up right after this. And we have another Sunday Fun Day right out in the lobby. I'm excited about this one. So please join us just for a few minutes right after. Stay, chat, and hang out a bit.
Yeah. And just so you know, we still have offering treats. We do have our Baking for Bucks. We have Mama Skinner, and we have Lois out there, and they have a lot of good treats. I just got the Rice Krispies with turkey bacon, so I'm looking forward to eating that later on.
Yeah. Oh, exciting. I don't think Jimmy agrees with turkey bacon. Thank you, guys. We hope to see you again. Thank you.